Wanted to film a mid-July update in our tropical garden in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And the last one I filmed was, I guess, late June, so it's only been maybe like 3 weeks since the last one I filmed, but there's been a ton more growth and some different things to show, so I wanted to film another video. One thing that you can see right off the bat, I mentioned in the last video that I had some cannas that I was rotating through. There's a spot in the back of our property, one of the only spots that gets full sun. I've been keeping a lot of the cannas there to get them a better start, and as a result, there's been really good flowering. So a couple of the ones that I've rotated through are flowering right now. I have them all up right now. They're all pretty common dark leaf canna varieties. You can see, I forget the exact colors, but a couple of them are flowering in orange. I don't know if the color difference shows up here on the film, but these two are orange. There's one around the corner over there that's red. These are overwintered, basically the same way that the elephant ears are overwintered, where they're dried out for a couple of weeks in the garage in November, and then when they're totally dry, they're then wrapped in newspaper and put away. These elephant ears this year, now that there's really been enough time and that I've actually taken the ones that are still in grow pots and tried to sell a couple of them off, I would say it was basically 99% retention. So if we're thinking of that's how well these things do, being wrapped up and dried out and wrapped up in newspaper every year, I mean 99% retention. And 99% retention probably undersells it, because these grow and reproduce and grow and reproduce. So it's better than 99% retention. They're creating more plants all the time. But you can see with the elephant ears, they are just growing and growing and growing. Another thing I wanted to point out, so when I filmed the one in June, I mentioned that there were super elephant salmon splash here. I've just found that they were not as resilient of a variety, and like I said, I was phasing them out anyway. There's a whole separate story about how I tried to grow just as many of this variety of beacon impatiens as the purple, and just lost a bunch of them planting them in bad soil. But I had a bunch of them spread across the backyard, and I gathered them up and I moved them all out here. I transplanted them all, and they've done great since they've been transplanted. So there's orange in there, there's red in there, and I think they look great. Next time the plan will be a little bit better and the distribution will be a little bit better, but I think they look really great in there. In terms of size, I always like to lift up and show my foot for comparison of the size of the elephant ears. They're pretty big, but I'll show you some in a second that are bigger. One thing that I wanted to show is I highlighted in the last video the variegated cannas that I got from Pesci's greenhouse. And one of the cool things about these is they don't flower nearly as much as these, but when they do flower, it's really cool. They produce a two-colored flower. Right now, most of the yellow is gone, but it produces a flower that is half red, half yellow, which combined with the variegated leaves is pretty cool. You'll see, you know what, we'll go in the other direction this time than we went in last time. See some more cannas here going around, and we'll see a couple of other things. So this is the other entrance. You can see just how much things have filled in. It's a veritable jungle. Bushwhacking it is kind of fun, but with the elephant ears, you're always trying to, if you're trimming elephant ears back, to not trim the lead branch, because they branch off, and if you cut the lead one off, that's the end it's going to grow. This is a triangle palm. I love this palm. It's awesome. I love the shape of it. I love the leaves. It doesn't love being inside in the winter, and I think it's taken some time, but it's really started to bounce back a little bit. But any pinnate palm, you're talking about winter inside in a cold environment. There's just no totally bulletproof palm. So this one has bounced back a little bit though, but I've rotated it back in like a sunnier spot, so it's looking pretty good right now. If we're looking at the big elephant ears, there's a whole group along the back wall here, but I don't know. this one might be as big as any. So let's do the foot again so you can see just how big this thing is. They get literally the size of an elephant ear. And some of the bulbs this year I really tried to, if it was a bigger bulb, to try to save it for a spot where it could have more space to grow and develop. And it's kind of hard to, this one we're looking at here is another massive one, and if I go over and put my hand, you'll kind of see. Here's that red canna that I was talking about. This one only has one stalk coming off of it. Maybe a couple more will come out, but when I sense that these cannas are going to start to die back, then I'll try to rotate something else in front. Last time I filmed a video, there were 2 Mexican fan palms. Here you can see the Abyssinian red bananas really coming in, and then this Proven Winners variant on the Abyssinians in front that, again, you can barely tell the difference, but the main thing being these ones are just a little bit smaller, so they're all really coming in. It looks great. I'll duck under this triangle palm and go into here so you can really see it's a true jungle in here right now. It's just really cool. And mentioned, so there's a second banana flower has opened up since the last video. There are a couple bananas on top of it, but it's right there. There's the other one here, and I don't really know enough about bananas in general, but I don't know if these are gonna get, I feel like that's probably as big as those are gonna get. So I could probably pull one off. Again, they're not edible, so there's no real benefit to that. It's mostly just this really cool flower that has hung on for a long time. I mean, this thing is going to be flowering for at least a month, which is just super cool. I'm 5'8", but there's a full canopy. I mean, I'm walking under this, which is really cool. That's pretty much it for what's out here right now. Again, I've got a couple other things that I'll try to rotate through, but to be able to walk through here, and I'll pivot back around so you can see, but we have, it's a legit jungle right now, and that's probably about as big as it's all gonna get. Maybe it'll get a little bit bigger, but it's a legit jungle, especially when you walk through the path. So for everyone who's checking out these videos, thanks, I appreciate it. And again, this in particular, the Japanese fiber bananas, you can absolutely try yourself. It's totally doable. It doesn't require that much winter protection, and if you want people all summer to ask you what the heck is growing in your front yard, give it a shot. Thanks.